Hi, my name is Kat Kerr, and welcome to my new product series. Now, I'm always on the hunt for products that do specific things. So for this series, my hope is to try products in various ways in order to give myself and you an accurate assessment. This way we can learn what a specific product works best with and what it doesn't. Now, I'm not getting paid by any company to use their products. Some companies might choose to send me products, but the opinion is totally mine. My only hope is that the assessment gives you insight and helps you choose the right products for your project. So let's go ahead and get started. I am feeling super giddy about trying the StazOn Pigment Opaque Solvent Ink, especially because these are for slippery surfaces. Now, the company was super generous and sent these to me, and a friend had mentioned this particular ink to me. I said, okay, we have to give it a try. So I reached out to the company and they were generous enough to send them to me. Now, the first thing I'm trying them on is the Graphics Dura-lar Matte Two-Sided Film. This is a plastic sheet, so it's super slippery. And as you can see, these ink pads are super vibrant. I'm like already kind of loving the colors, and no problems with applying them onto the matte Dura-lar. Unfortunately, I did not clean my stamp well enough when I went for the white, and so it kind of made the white a little gray. I was really bummed about that, so I ended up trying the white on a black surface for you to see it just a little bit better. But after a couple of minutes, I went back and I made sure that the ink was on there permanent, and it wasn't coming off. So good job on the matte Dura-lar. Next up, I'm going to try the inks on some clear craft plastic. Now, clear craft plastic, if you're not familiar with it, it comes with a protective layer on both sides, and I just peeled off the second layer. You might not see it because it's so clear, but it's there. It's a plastic sheet, and I'm just taking some more stamps and trying the inks on them. The one thing that I noticed is that just like with any slick surface, it can be slippery when you're applying a stamp, but otherwise there was really no problems. I just had to have a steady hand when I was applying it. The colors are super vibrant again, and in the end I'll show you what the colors look like with a black and white background for you to see a little bit better. Now let's try some metal. Here I'm using some 24 gauge brass sheet, and I just cleaned it with steel wool and some rubbing alcohol, and I'm just applying some ink to the stamp and pressing it onto the metal. A few minutes later, I go back with a baby wipe to see if the ink comes off, and it doesn't. Now, if you want to start again, you just need some more of that rubbing alcohol and that'll remove the ink. But in this case, you can see that the ink did leave a little bit of ghosting on the metal. And even though I cleaned it with some steel wool, the ghosting was still visible. So keep that in mind when you're stamping on metal, that, just have a steady hand when you're stamping it the first time, because otherwise you will have a little bit of that ghosting left. Next, I tried the Koala Gray on this little brass heart that I stamped my initials on. Now, after a little bit of time, I went back and looked at all the pieces again, and I rubbed them with my finger, especially the metal, because if I'm going to make jewelry out of it, I want to make sure that that ink will not come off. And so I also checked the clear craft plastic with that baby wipe to make sure that nothing was smudging off, as well as the matte Dura-lar. Now, in regards to the metal, I would definitely use the StazOn. It's a good permanent solution. Now, it's just a personal preference for me. I would probably end up coating it in a two-part resin just because I would be using it in my jewelry making and you're handling it quite a bit. So I would rather cover it in some resin. But if you're only using that metal in an assemblage or something else, there's no reason to cover it. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the StazOn pigment. They work on slick surfaces, and that's what I was hoping for. So yeah, I'm sold on these ink pads, and I'll definitely be using them again. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.